What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys family here, bringing you guys the latest update on our very own Dallas Cowboys. And of course, as always, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Take a second, hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us on all social media at MyCowboysFamily, and of course, hop in the Discord. The link for that's in the description box down below.
Of course, we're going to talk about taking out and thrashing that trash from New York tonight. Defense, the offense, special teams all over, and the coaching. We're going to discuss
it. Trash day, so the trash had to be taken out. We were just doing what we had to do, right?
We took that giant trash can and dumped it out there. We'll talk about it all, among other things here, as well as injuries, the future, and beyond. But today is basically a recap day on this game, and we'll give you all the updates, all the little things that maybe slipped through the cracks on your guys' side, hopefully filling in all the Cowboy news, info, and updates, kicking off a brand new week here, my Cowboys family. And with that in place, it's time to shout out those that have taken over, so to speak, our boards, our 4 leaderboards here on my Cowboys family. Kicking off a new week. You've seen some of the names that have been doing it, and starting off with Jason Renfro. He's got 66 points as the stream boss, still over the halfway point, a little bit in the green there, but he's also struck green when it comes to the sponsor of the week. He is the dominator there, again, taking over the mantle from a back-to-back week from SnugX. Jason Renfro is now the sponsor of the week. He's also the Cash App King, and he's also the gifting champion. You see right up there, right above Jason Renfro's name on the stream boss, Jason Renfro, the gifting champion, and he did it with 17 gifted memberships. So much love to Mr. Jason Renfro. Of course, there's nobody in the lead on the gifting board as we speak, but there are people challenging for that top spot. We'll talk about it in a minute, because when you look at the Cash App King, 12 weeks in a row it was SnugX, but this has been broken and reclaimed by Stanley Smith. Much love to him. He is our Cash App King, and he's going to be repping it here every single day of the week, the entire week, as the king of the Cash App. We'll see who takes over for that spot, because right now, baby, Cash App-wise, we did have a post-game drop by Jason Renfro. Once again, much love to Jason, trying to take over everything here, and kicking off a new week. Again, that's from last week's, but yes, Jason Renfro dropped a $2.60 holler to cap off last week. And a Go Cowboys. So much love to him. But when it comes to this week's board, it's empty. Ooh. So no one's in there. We'll see what happens. Again, there's different ways to get on the boards here, whether it's the overall board, which, by the way, the overall board right now, it does have a leader. If you look up there, you'll see her name, Marissa Sparkle. Sparkling in the first place, because she's a star level member for 6 months. Well, for 4 months, 6 months here with the membership. Much love to Marissa Sparkle. Star level over everything. She is the current weekly sponsor leader on this board, and hey, if she keeps that down, she will be the sponsor of the week. We'll see what happens. Much love to you, Marissa Sparkle, who, by the way, Marissa Sparkle, who also is part of the crew here when we do the nightly shout-outs for the Star and Over Everything memberships.
That's right. So a huge shout-out to Skeptical Fan, Jason Renfro, Lincoln Kane, Mary Alvarez, Andy Potch, Marissa Sparkle, The Lunatic, and Over Everything, C. Bass.
Hell yeah. Much love to everybody in the membership. I appreciate everybody. We appreciate everybody who's gifted memberships here. And, of course, drop the super chats. You got the thanks button. But there's 4 other ways in the Cash App side you can help the channel out and also be on the board and represent here on MCF in the Cash App side. Baby, what are those 4 ways?
Of course, you have the Cash App money sign My Cowboys Family, the Venmo at My-Cowboys-Family, the regular PayPal link, and last but not least, the Streamlabs link lets your comment show up on screen like a super chat.
Damn right, guys. Thank you all for rocking with us here. And just one little last reminder, baby. I know we shout out the Star and Over Everything level, but if all those same people are still in there by the end of the week, and if we have a new person jumping in, we got to add them to the name. If you're in the Star level or the Over Everything level of membership, you get in this raffle. We got basically game day, halftime of this Carolina game. We're going to give away a jersey, sewn and stitched. We know that you guys know the deal. Cowboy Mosh representation, but in the end, it's going to be only those that are involved in the Star level and Over Everything level of membership. We got Navy Blue Crew in the Silver level too, but the top shelves membership, Star level, Over Everything, will have one lucky winner. Perks. Yeah, big perks there, and we'll definitely be, shouting out, crowning a new winner for this month, the month of November, in the Star and Over Everything membership raffle. Jersey raffle. Cannot wait. And now I cannot wait to see you in the house tonight, baby. Let's do the shout outs for those repping that Star for everything with us here on My Cowboys Family.
We have, of course, Scorpio, Asmodeus, much love, Stephen White in the house, Fuego, bringing the heat, Dirty South MVP, what's up, Xavier Hidalgo, hello and hi. I don't know about Dak MVP, but he certainly had an MVP-like performance.
Some people are saying MVP. Micah said it last week.
Texas Twister, what's up? Hopefully your truck isn't too messed up. And deer are tricky little ones. See, we have Mike Aldana, of course. Rolling back a little bit here. Who else is here? Lost in Translation Podcast. Much love to you. Going back, I think. Is that almost everybody here? Well, that's everybody I can see. Let me come back down. Griff 181, peace to you. Justin D, in the place to be. So hopefully, you can roll on out home and roll into bed. Wrapping it up here with MCF. Rolando Rodriguez all the way from South Texas. Much love. Baby, let me go ahead, hand it off to you so we can dive right into this Cowboy news. Yeah,
let's get into this because we have a lot with a little bit of time. We are, of course, we did start off extra late night tonight, so I'm glad for those that are able to stick in for this one. And there's some things you probably never heard anywhere else about our Cowboys tonight here on MCF, so keep it tuned in. Now, let's start off with NFL news. The Broncos today, they snuck in a crazy ending against the Buffalo Bills on a penalty. They re-kicked it. They won the game. The Broncos forced 4 turnovers and dropped the Bills to 5-5. The Broncos won in Buffalo. We talked about this yesterday being a tough game for the Cowboys. I mean, it's still going to be tough, but man, the Bills are not that good. So they're average. And the Broncos, a bad team, it happens, but the Bills have been beat by a couple of bad teams this year. They're 5-5 now. A chaotic ending in this Monday Night Football victory for the Broncos. They forced 4 turnovers. 3 of them were forced by Josh Allen. Yep, they forced him to give up the ball there 3 times. I mean, interception leader. No one talks, and they don't talk about it like the way they did Dak. So either way, Broncos surprised the Bills 24-22 at the buzzer. Late pass interference penalty on the Bills defensive back Taron Johnson put Will Lutz in position for the game-winning field goal. Again, he missed the first attempt, the kicker. And then because of a penalty by the Bills, too many men in the field, they had 12 guys. They got another kick 5 yards closer. It was an easy kick, and Lutz missed the first time. Knocked it right through the second time. Sean McDermott's team, the Bills, have lost 3 in its last 4. While the Denver Broncos, believe it or not, have won 3 in a row. So, again, Broncos, are they getting better? I don't know. But I do know this, guys, and if you guys been watching and you guys heard us talking about it yesterday during our Cowboy game, it was a league-high record-setting performance by basic games that ended at the buzzer for the win.
Special teams.
Week 10, again, another one at the end of Week 10 of Monday Night Football. It was a closer to the game, was the game winner by the Broncos, and there was another walk-off kick. They ended the week with another walk-off field goal, game-winning field goal. The Broncos kicked the 6th game-winning field goal this week, in this Week 10, as time expired in regulation. That's the most in a single week in NFL history, and that's at least by 2 games. Incredible. Close games. We didn't have a close game in our battle. That was a good thing.
No.
That's a good thing. Now, by the way,
to do it.
Again, the other teams that did it, the Denver Broncos did it now, the Cardinals, the Browns, the Lions, the Houston Texans, and the Seattle Seahawks, they all converted game-winning field goals with no time remaining. At 5, it was a record. 5 games. Today became 6. Crazy. Now, really quickly, some guys working out around the NFL, and a couple names maybe sound either familiar, maybe you want to see the Cowboys make a move for these guys. We'll talk about a couple of them. One of them's gone already. The other couple are still out there, but the Saints, the New Orleans Saints, they've taken a look and working out Jason Pierre-Paul, which I actually discussed him last week about pass rusher like him. Mm-hmm. He's waiting to find somebody who's a competitor in the playoffs. I don't know if it's the Saints, but the Saints are the team that's currently interested in him. We'll see what happens. Now, the Eagles, they're always trying to make moves at Howie Roseman. The Eagles hosted linebacker Anthony Barr, former Cowboy, former Viking. They hosted him today in a free agent visit. The Eagles also worked out former Washington Commander guard Andrew Norwell, and center Letitia Smith. Oh, yeah, and also Noah Togai, who's a tight end. Those are the guys the Eagles worked out. Anthony Barr was in there visiting, but he didn't get signed with them because you know what happened, baby? The Vikings, who know very well of Anthony Barr, remember a guy I talked about here for the Cowboys maybe making a move in season in a trade for Jordan Hicks from the Vikings? He's the one that they both hit heads there, him and Purdy, and kind of gave him that concussion. But Jordan Hicks has recently been injured. with him hurt, they need a linebacker, and they are. Even though the Eagles hosted Anthony Barr, the Vikings signed Anthony Barr.
Okay.
So the Vikings ended up signing 4-time Pro Bowl linebacker Anthony Barr, former team. He spent 8 years with the Vikings after becoming the Vikings' first-round pick in 2014. Of course, last year he played with the Cowboys. He's still a free agent. Now he's finally been signed to the Vikings.
Back home.
Going back to the Vikings. But again, the Eagles did look at him, and because the Vikings only went at him because they lost Jordan Hicks, which again was a guy, a linebacker. If we needed one, that's a guy to go at, I thought, in the for a trade. So you see how it's relevant to the Vikings, at least on their side. They needed to go after him. Now, that's the NFL news. But let's we can finish off with a little more NFL news with our opponent that we're going to face in Week 11. And let me put up the schedule so you guys remember. The schedule's not it's pretty easy right now coming around this corner. And I'm knocking on wood because we got to still play. Trap game, no trap game. We talked about the Giants' destruction this week. You see 49-17, but Panthers are up next week 11. They're the worst team in the league. The worst team in the league. 1-8, whatever they are. The Cowboys, they opened up initially as 10-point favorites at Carolina, and then hours later, now it's moved up to 11 points. Who knows? Will it get to 14, 15 in May as the week goes on? Right now, the Cowboys are currently they are 11-point favorites for this Week 11 game at the Carolina Panthers, the worst team in the league, technically by record. And also, another little update, a little upgrade, I guess, for the Panthers injury situation. Panthers have designated to return from a hamstring injury, cornerback J.C. Horn, who's a guy who's also always involved in the Cowboys and the Micah Parsons situation. So he was picked right before we wanted to pick him. J.C. Horn with the Panthers. His practice window is open. What does this mean? Well, obviously it means he could play against the Cowboys technically this week. But again, remember that hamstring injuries, there's a soft tissue injuries. They need ramp up time for J.C. Horn. Even if he was able to play this week, he probably won't be 100%. So if I'm the Cowboys, number one, J.C. Horn playing, bring it on. I think we can pick on him this game, even if he is a very good talent. I don't know if he's going to be ramped up ready. And the real reality is he probably will not be activated for the Sunday game against the Cowboys. They'll probably be looking at him for the Thanksgiving weekend and the weekend of that Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving Day and the weekend for their game for J.C. Horn to return. So will he be back? Will he not? They got really nobody, but he'll be an improvement for them if they can get back to 100% for him this game. The probability is he will not be out there, but we'll know more and talk more about this tomorrow's first look when we talk about their defense, when we talk about matchups, and J.C. Horn in the mix. So just want to throw that out there, because that's it. That's all the NFL news, including our opponent next year. That's at the first glance at the Panthers. We'll talk about them a lot more starting tomorrow. But now let's talk about this game and really, the injuries from this game. Injury news, injury reports. There's some injuries we got to talk about, and not necessarily ones that happened in this game. In fact, we were pretty injury-free this game, other than Jordan Lewis's, injury, which happened right at the end of the game. We weren't able to see it. He was getting his shoulder looked at. It wasn't an ankle. It wasn't his foot. It wasn't. That's a good thing, but it was his shoulder. They were checking his shoulder out in the blue tent, and he was asked, kind of walking around the locker room, how is he feeling? Will he be on the injury report, which I'm sure he will be. But according to most sources, I know Patrick Walker also made this comment. Jordan Lewis said that it was precautionary. He said he's perfectly fine. So, again, that Jordan Lewis injury, even though we know what perfectly fine can still mean they miss a week or two, it ain't something he's going to be gone for a long time. So that's a good thing for Jordan Lewis and our Cowboy defense, even if he is not where we need him to be this year for us. He's not as good as, let's say, he was the last 2 years, coming off that Liz Frank injury in his foot. But either way, guys, good news. There's nothing major. It's nothing long-term. And Jordan Lewis will be okay, hopefully sooner than later. And again, the game's coming up. We got quick turnaround game. You might see some guys getting a little break here against Carolina and then getting ready for the Thanksgiving game against Washington. The bigger game next Thursday after that against Seattle. And then the biggest game 10 days later against the Eagles. So we got to make sure these guys are ready for those games. Now, what did Stephen Jones? Stephen Jones spoke today. I don't know how to pop his damn picture up here, but the son of Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, came out. It's basically said about yesterday's game, quote, as far as coming out with any notable injuries, we didn't have any injuries. He said, quote, this is great news. We're actually a very healthy team right now. We came through the game really well. But just as that comes out and everyone's like, yay, Jordan Lewis is okay, Stephen Jones said everyone's great. lickety split, we're good to go. Well, no, not so fast, because later on today, Michael Gelkin and others reported about 2 current injured players on the Cowboys team that were expected back this year. One of them probably, the other one possibly it was supposed to be C.J. Goodwin. He was going to reconsider surgery on that pectoral injury.
So the type of pec injury that he had, technically is a season-ending injury.
Right. So he was going to try to come back, maybe get second opinions, maybe, kind of avoid the surgery. Well, today it looks like it was announced through Michael Gelkin that he's going to be undergoing season-ending pectoral surgery. So C.J. Goodwin going to be out for the year. And then, number 55, baby, you repped him yesterday in the game for our... I'm glad you did, because LVE will probably not be back this year with the Cowboys. I don't know if he'll be back ever again with the Cowboys.
His situation is a little bit more
complicated.
Anyone.
Yeah, well, I want you to go through that, but again, I want to make sure. Also, another headline here is that LVE will, quote, most likely won't be back this season, end quote. So that means LVE gone for the year. We got Marquise Bell, Damone Clark, a couple others, a little mix of of Micah Parsons, and then no special teams ace, C.J. Goodwin. Other guys got to step up, Sam Williams being one of those guys. Deshaun Wright got to step up a little more, Tolbert, and others. So no C.J. Goodwin the rest of this year. Sounds like he went with the surgery rather than second opinions. And this Leighton Vander Esch issue is, not being back this season. Wasn't it a neck issue he had, right? An injury?
Yeah.
So go ahead, baby. Break it down for
I'm
us.
going to actually start with Goodwin just because he said it, quote, I knew it was a long shot anyway. They said they never had someone come back from it, but they gave me the opportunity to try, and I tried. It is what it is, but I'm looking forward to getting it better and rehabbing. So, like I said, specifically on the Goodwin thing, it's not necessarily as much of a surprise.
Remember Goodwin, we kind of said he's going to get second opinions. He trying to salvage the season. He tried. He tried his best, couldn't do it. He couldn't break the laws of science. So he's out for the year, and it's not a surprise. It's kind of more expected.
And again, neither can LVE. So remember, guys, he had a bulging disc. That's what ended up ending his season in the first place, the first time he got hurt. And then he had that neck fusion surgery, right? He did make a surprisingly quick recovery from that, and he came back, and he actually looked better than expected. We've made it work. He's actually been relatively healthy since then. But unfortunately, now, it was kind of known back then, and it's kind of known now, if he gets another surgery, that's more or less the end of his career.
So that's a career ender if he gets surgery.
Because of this current injury, there are discussions about whether or not he should have surgery or not. So that's kind of the complicated thing. And, of course, Jerry is actually straight up asked about it. Jerry said, I don't want to dream about it, think about it, but I don't in any way. I just want that one. We'll see what the situation is. I don't want to push the hope or anything out there. Let's just see how it plays out. Because then he was being asked, do we expect LVE to come back for the season? And honestly, sounds like Jerry, with his speech, was almost implicating, man, are we going to be back for, the career? So
even it's season ending, it looks like, for LVE. But with Jerry's quotes, it sounds almost career danger. Right, the career ending is a possibility here.
/ life altering, because again,
that's crazy.
One neck fusion surgery is already, hard enough. I can't imagine the second one, and it really sucks because he was actually giving us his best play, these last few years.
Yeah, this year was a little down more, I think, when it comes to...
remember, the whole defense started down. He unfortunately got hurt right as the defense was starting the whole team really was starting the rest of its upswing.
Yeah, even without him, the defense kind of struggled a little bit, right? But the run defense kind of stayed right there with it. Picked up well with Marquise Bell coming in.
I agree, and again, blips in the radar, but the point is that you can't deny that we'd look better now and would have continued to look better, had LVE been there. I
do want to make a mention, and we didn't really hear anything about this today, but the elevation of Malik Jefferson at linebacker, the elevation of Rashaan Evans, number 32. This is his last. They cannot play as a Cowboy until we move him to the 53-man roster. And today was their last chance to do that. I have not heard that the Cowboys have done that. So currently, they can do it at any time. But after Monday, we have to. He's either going to go. He can sign somewhere else. Someone can pluck him off our practice squad. Now, to be honest, they haven't shown much, really. I mean, Malik Jefferson's still on our team because he didn't show that much. We just had him as a backup.
Yeah, we only signed him for another 1-year deal.
Who?
LVE, right?
I think this is only 1-year deal for him. Yeah, he might be done with the Cowboys after this. But what I'm trying to say is Rashaan Evans, whose depth, Malik Jefferson, whose depth, Those guys aren't there anymore. Remember, guys, they're like not even part of the team unless we sign them through the 53-man roster. They can't play with the Cowboys, and the only way they can play football is that they go somewhere else. So as long as they're on our practice squad, they're stuck here, but someone can pluck them and they can play somewhere else, they'll definitely go. Or we have to sign one of these two guys to the 53. The Cowboys haven't done that yet. So, yeah, some people say we have a good depth. I said we have to have good. Well, don't we have good depth? Well, let's talk about the linebacker position. Not really. Because already Overshown gone, LVE gone. Those are 2 out of the 4 players that are going to play a large role at that linebacker spot. Marquise Bell stepped up in a big way. Because we got Damone Clark, who's already there, and always can move Micah to that spot if needed. So, yeah, that's it. I mean, we got safeties, right? J-Ron Kurtz and Donovan Wilson who play a little hybrid there, but actual linebackers, we're very soft now. We have 2 guys on our backups that are right now not playable. So something to think about going forward.
And Mike Aldana, well, trust me, we're the first ones to start calling out the clown show behavior. At least in the LVE side of things, we signed him to a reasonable 1-year deal, right? Based on his, eating the rest of his contract because he's out for the season. Realistic, the injuries happen. You know what I mean? I'm just saying,
I agree. But the
one that hurts more technically in this scenario is Diggs, not
LVE.
If you're talking about guys who got hurt and whose contract are eating.
See the guy right behind Jerry? That's the guy who not only wanted LVE back, but utilized him and got the most out of him. Listen, for the 2 years before this injury, LVE stayed alive in these games for a much longer time than they did any time in his past career because we had him in there at certain down and distance situations, situational football. He was a specialist almost for certain downs. That's it. And Dan Quinn, we can get him for a cheap price to use a guy in a rotation. He's not getting 70 snaps. He's getting 30 or 40 snaps, and that's all we needed LVE for, or as depth. I'm just saying, him being gone, that he did provide the Joneses by signing him for relatively cheap was a good move, especially if Dan Quinn is down with that. So I don't think it's a bad move from the clown show, but we knew the risk always, and we knew that's why this contract was very inexpensive for most linebacker contracts. So, but I think that it was the reason LV was even invited back was because of this guy right here, the way we used him, and the way that there was still uses that we by maintaining his practice and his game day stuff, it lessened his chance for injury. He survived 2 full years really not injured, and then got banged up. Of course, this game. As I think he was having a bad season for himself here overall, for LVE, but we don't know what would have happened, right? But now he's gone for the year, it sounds like, and hopefully not his career, but we don't know. And again, Dan Quinn did the most he could with an injury-prone LVE by not giving him over-snapping him and giving him snaps percentages per game, maintaining it and kind of moderating it and rotating him in and out when you needed to. That kept his career longer. I don't know if he's going to be with the Cowboys or somewhere else, but that's the best way of using LV. Dan Quinn showed the way, and we got the most out of LV, I will say, I think, from his abilities when it comes to the shoulder, the neck, and, of course, the high draft pick that Jerry Jones don't want to ever admit he failed at. You know how that goes. El Fuego in the house, yo. Fuego dropping that 5 on it. Kicking it off here, baby.
First of the Fuego. Week. He said, Dallas Cowboys till I die. Can't stop, won't stop till my blue casket closes.
Hell yeah, man.
All my ashes spread out over AT&T Stadium.
I don't know if Jerry Jones will be happy about that, but he'll probably be spread out first.
I mean, at this rate, my ashes will be going over AT&T Stadium before his.
It feels like it, right? Much love, El Fuego. You know how it is. Appreciate you.
Off on the official side of things. Much love.
The official kickoff, right?
Skeptical fan backed that up with a dollar holler that I don't know if it's going to ring the bell or not.
I see what you're saying. It just went
happy
through.
Little Go Cowboys.
It just went through officially. A Go Cowboys by a skeptical fan.
Brandon James, I'm almost positive. So I think he's on the second year of that 2-year deal.
Who?
If I'm not mistaken, LVE.
I don't. He's at the end of it. I'm pretty sure he's at the end of it.
And even on top of that, obviously the $8 million. It's not like we paid him every single penny of that. There's quantifiers and things like that. But either way, it's relatively cheap in a football sense.
I thought it was $5 million that we had paid for him. I don't know. Look, the point.
I think that's the guarantee.
The point is that
2 years or something.
He's not gonna.
The point is that it's a small amount of money that we're losing because he's out for the rest of the year. We actually generally need him on the field more than we could have used
$4 million,
that type of money or something.
$4 million, $4.5 million is what he was getting paid. That's topping out. That's with all the incentives. My point is that. That's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's a risk, and that's why it was a cheaper deal there, and I would say that's a fair deal across the board there for both sides. I'm not going to cry about that, but it sucks for him, and it sucks for our depth. I don't think that's going to... Right now, I think we're managing pretty well, so I will say I think we're okay. We might have to bring somebody else in. Or if not somebody else in, we might have to bring in somebody that... I'm trying, that's going to be on the 53 and be able to play a more full-time linebacker role. Who's that going to be? I don't know. Malik Jefferson is not that answer, I guess, to Dan Quinn and the Cowboys. And I don't know yet if Rashad Evans
Guys, gird your loins. Second-round linebacker coming at you next year.
Maybe
that's
a run stopper.
Look, we're going to go O-line, linebacker. I don't know. We'll think about that later. But my point is that those are like the two positions I'm eyeing the most. Unfortunately, now we got to figure out what the heck to do with tight end. We
got Ferguson.
Cowboys should draft any more tight ends right now.
Let's stay away from tight ends. We got a guy that's well enough good.
Exactly. So, anyway, kind of rolling back here real quick. Skeptical fan also dropping a $2 thumbs up.
The 1-2, that's going to take Jason to 58 points when it hits.
I'll go Cowboys.
Hell yeah. Much love to Mr. Skeptical fan. Again, was running some of these boards earlier last week, and, the brother man, Jason Renfro, took over the mantle at the gifting side of things. Skeptical's always hanging around. Currently in third place on the overall board. Fuego in second. And Marissa Sparkle kicking it off in that star level membership in first place. So, baby, we get rolling here. We got a good discussion out there, right, about the injuries. Obviously, important news that nobody's really injured on our team out of this game. Jordan Lewis is the one you have to watch for, but he's not a season ender. It's going to be a short-term thing, it sounds like. And, of course, the C.J. Goodwin LVE thing, we discussed that in detail. Let's talk about our Giants game from yesterday. Our Giants game that we kicked some giant ass. Our Cowboys, 49, Giants 17 in AT&T Stadium in Arlington. We improved to 6-3 on the season, second in the NFC East. And I'll talk a little more in a minute because we got Skeptical fan dropping that $2 holler. You called it already, baby. And he said, go Cowboys. And hit that thumbs up button right now. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell. Follow us over on X or all the other platforms, social media style, at MyCowboysFamily. Much love to all in the membership, Navy, Blue, Silver, Star, and over everything. Much love to many different people in the house, like Jason Renfro, who's repping 3 out of our 4 boards. Marissa Sparkle in first place on the overall board. And, of course, Stanley Smith, the king of the Cash App. No one's in there, though, currently repping in there.
By the way, Fuego, there's no official raffle this week. It's for the Star membership. That's the raffle we're doing this weekend. Maybe Mr. MCF was not clear.
Oh, I was very clear. Yeah, it's a Star level membership. I said only Star and only over everything people are in this raffle. It's open to anyone if you jump in to those levels of the membership.
I don't know. I just always assume it's your fault.
Yep, guys, this is the part you say, yes, ma'am, and you just shut up.
There's some universal truths.
Yes, my love, you're right.
It's always your fault, and it's always Jerry's fault.
Well, that's true, though.
Some things just track. By the way, that guy's comment cracked me up, by the way, because he was at the game. He said, I was asked yesterday by a Rams fan, you know why you guys don't win Super Bowls anymore? I said, let me guess, Jerry Jones, and he just nodded and smiled. Oh, that cracked me up. So
that is actually the root fact of things. Let's be clear. Jerry Jones is always the right answer when you talk about the ruination of the Cowboys. It ain't the Eagles, it ain't the Niners, it's the Dallas Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones.
The Skeptical fan also asked, what's going on with Hendershot? And I'm like, Hendershot who?
Hendershot's still sick. I mean, he's still injured. Again, on the 4-week IR. Remember that, guys. So he's going to be out, I think, another week, and then they can figure out what to do with him next.
Now I kind of forgot about that, but I do feel a little bad now making that joke. But it still tracks.
Yeah, well, we haven't. Again, I would like to see him in there because I think he'll give us more than Schoonmaker. How you like them apples? Anyways, what happened in this game, baby, as we roll it? Oh, by the way, before I can even go any farther, I got to give another shout out here, baby, to the guy that you know why he's here. SnugX.
Woo! Thank you, SnugX, kicking things off on the Cash App.
Yep.
With a $5 holler. And you know what he said?
What did he say?
I'm actually extrapolating this from the message, the actual message that was sent, but I had to stand up for my man Jerry Jones here. Got to defend
he's saying
Jerry Jones.
That's what he said. Well, hey, you can defend him.
From the haters.
We defended...
Collaborators.
We defended Mr. Jerry Jones today, even right now, saying the LVE deal. I don't blame the front office for signing him for how much he did. I just, there's some things you do blame Jerry Jones for, right, Snug? You got to still blame him for something.
I'm actually fucking with you a little bit. He said go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys. Good one, baby. Thank you. SnugX, by the way, second on the board overall, first on the Cash App after that 12-week streak. Let's see if he starts a new one. Now, we also, again, this game right here against the Giants, let me just clarify some things. 49-17, we won, crushed them, blew them out. 6-3 on the season for the Cowboys. We had 640 yards of total offense, 168 yards rushing, 472 yards passing the ball. We also had 32 first downs, 50% on third down, which matches the Eagles. That's what they do every single week. 7 of 14 on third down. So we converted half our third downs and our fourth downs combined. All right, so that's what I'm saying. 14 third or fourth downs, 7 conversions out of 14. We also, unfortunately, had 2 turnovers. Dak Prescott, Cooper Rush. So we were 6 out of 7 in the red zone. I like them apples. A little red zone improvement there. We're going to talk about the scheme in a minute, how I think this thing is going up, up, and away on offense. In the red zone, 6 out of 7 tries were good. Time of possession, 37 minutes and 21 seconds out of 60. So that's domination. The Cowboys outgained the Giants by 468 yards today. That's the largest total yardage difference in an NFL game in 44 years. 44 years. We outgained the Giants by 468 yards. That's the most in 44 years, guys. That's incredible. And then 89-17, that's the total. We had 89 points against the Giants this year in 2 games. They scored 17, all of them in the second one, right? That's pretty impressive. I'll explain
a little. That was a historic record-setting performance against the Giants.
Whenever we get the Giants, we're always beating them into a record book. Much love to Fuego once again.
Bringing the heat with that $5 dollar.
That puts him right there. Now in second place, jumping Snug X, right behind Marissa Sparkle. What'd he say?
Fuck that, I'm number 1. Let's fucking go Cowboys.
Let's go Cowboys. And again, El Fuego, if you really want to get in the raffle, star level, you can check it out, and there's an opportunity to get into that.
Remember, you have all week, technically, in the sense that, as long as you're in there before we do the raffle on Sunday, you're in the raffle on Sunday.
Yeah, so again, that goes to anybody, but I'm just saying, El Fuego, if he's interested in trying to win a jersey, there you go. There's a chance. And actually a pretty good chance, because I think there's like 8 people in there, so right now, 1 out of 8 chance. Yeah, you never know. It's like that's a chance. That's like 12%. So anyways, the point is, appreciate you, Fuego. Jason at 53 points, by the way, on the Stream Boss, and El Fuego is in second place on the overall board. Now, for the Cowboys are the third team. This is the 4th instance, so 2 teams have done this. A team has done it twice, but this is the 4th time. This is the 3rd team in history. I'm not in history, I'm sorry, in the last decade, the last 10 years, to win 12 consecutive home games. The Patriots in 2017, 18, and 19, they won 18. The Packers in 2020, 21, and 22 got 15 with the Packers there. And then the Packers also did a 12-game streak in 2014 and 15. McCarthy coached 2 of these 4 teams. This Cowboy team was one of the teams out of these 4 teams, and the Packers 2014-15 12-game win streak. McCarthy is responsible for 2 12-game winning streaks in the NFL in the last decade. That's right there in 3rd and 4th place, in the last 10 years. Fantastic numbers there. McCarthy doing a good job, and I got to say, we'll be hearing from these guys in a minute, all these guys, but let's kind of turn it. You're hearing me kind of talk a lot about maybe the points, the records, the scheme, the Mike McCarthy situation here, because let me say this, guys. First of all, these 49 points is the most the Cowboys have scored without the benefit of a defensive touchdown or a special teams touchdown. You know how long it's been? Since 2021. We had 51 points against the Eagles at the end of the season in Week 18, and we didn't have any benefit in that game from the special teams or defense. But this game, 49 points, it was all offense that put those points up on the board. And there's a reason for this. I'm gonna say this here. Have I not talked about the scheme stuff that we have to see for this offense to succeed? Motion and play action and mobile Dak Prescott, which you've brought up many times.
Motion in the ocean.
Exactly. The Texas Coast motion in the ocean. And where is it? Where's this West Coast flavor that we didn't do the first 4 fucking weeks? Listen to this, baby. Week 5, when we played the Niners, you know what our pre-snap motion was? We were supposed to feature this new pre-snap motion stuff for this offense. In Week 5 against the Niners, we did it 19 times. We did pre-snap motion. That's only 39% of the game. We did that. After that loss, we played the Chargers, had a bye week, the Rams, the Eagles, and now the Giants. Listen to the last 4 games. The Chargers, we did it from 19 with the Niners. We did it 38 times pre-snap motion. That is 62%. That's doubled of what we did against the Niners the week before that. After the bye week against the Rams, we did pre-snap motion 35 times. That's 56% of the game on offense. Against the Eagles, we did it 38 times. The opponent don't matter. It's the motion that matters. The motion in the ocean, 54% of the time against the Eagles. And against the Giants yesterday, 47 times. 61% in this game. All these offensive plays we had. Guys, we was at 39% with the Niners and worse before that. We went 62%, 56, 54, and 61% using motion. That opens up passing lanes. I always say, help your quarterback. I don't care if you're Aaron Rodgers or Dak Prescott or Patrick Mahomes. You gotta help your motherfucking quarterback. And that's what we were not doing with Dak. Whether it was Lenahan, Kellen Moore, in the beginning here of these first couple of weeks, Mike McCarthy. Now you're using motion. You're helping your quarterback. Why wouldn't you want to do this? I don't give a fuck about the money. I don't give a fuck about people's hate about Dak. I don't care who the quarterback is. Help whoever, quarterback one, whatever his fucking name is, help him more by giving him the motion in the ocean on this offense. And that's all. Guys, we are doing, I was hoping we'd see more of this, and we saw it after the Chargers and the Rams. I said, we got to keep doing it, and we're doing it. So that's positive. That's positive. Since the bye week, the Cowboys rank 8th in the NFL. Since the bye week now, this is after the Charger game, we rank 8th in shift motion rate. We were like 30th. Actually, let me not jump it, but I just want to say, prior to the bye, we were 14th. All right? So we went up, like we doubled, we went up, like we used, basically, we went up on the rankings, doubled up on that. We went from 14th to 8th in a couple of weeks. It's not a coincidence, guys, that the Cowboys offense has improved by being less reliant on non-moving, no motion, static 2x2 formations for the receivers. We're doing now, Mike McCarthy is doing a much better job now of creating easy kind of wins on one-on-one matchups and creating advantageous matchups. You saw that with Brandon Cook yesterday. You saw it with CeeDee Lamb the last fucking 4 weeks. The Cowboys ranked 25th when you look at bunch formation, which means there's three guys kind of, tight on the line of scrimmage, receivers, instead of spread out, and you see the slot guy easier. We were ranked 25th in the NFL in doing these bunch formations, and also 3x1 formations. These things we were ranked 25th, whether it's bunch formation or 3 on one side and 1 on the other side. Since the bye week, our rank in bunch formation went up from 25 to 13th. It's working. It's harder to cover CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Ferguson, or whoever you want to throw in there, Tolbert, whoever. It's harder to cover 3 guys in a bunch formation with the skill set they have, and that's why it's working better. We went from 25th to 13th. That means the shit's working. And also, we went from 25th in 3x1, 3 receivers on one side, 1 on the other. We used that 25th most in the NFL before the break. After the bye week, we went from 25th to 15th in that usage. Come on now. Come on. This is the scheme general changes that we've seen stick. And we've seen this shit working. We lost to the Eagles, and I don't like that, but we see it working. Good teams or bad teams. Dallas Cowboys used play action. This is one of my favorite things. This is one of the things I always say that helps Dak tremendously for the last 6.5 years I've been saying this. The Cowboys used play action a lot yesterday. Dak Prescott used play action 40.5% of his passes. 4 out of 10 passes, play action. That's a goddamn good thing. Cooper Rush used play action 45.5% of the time of his throws. Play action. Dak's doing it. Cooper Rush is doing it. Mike McCarthy is calling it. You understand, family? That's the keys here. Not Dak. It's the fucking Mike McCarthy play calling. This coaching. I mean, I know Dak. I trust Dak already for years and years. It's the coaching's got to mesh with it, and it's finally seeping through now. It looks like. Now, I do know it's the Giants, so I know it's a good team, but we play the Eagles, we play the Rams, play the Chargers, and with this kind of motion and movement and play action, it is obviously helping us. I don't care what the other defenses look like. Now, the last thing I want to say into this scheme is also part of Dak's situation, stepping up, no pun intended. He's got to be more mobile. Dak's got to be, and what have we seen? Dak's mobility creates plays. Dak's mobility extends plays. Dak's mobility, using his legs, getting the first downs, whatever. it helps the entire fucking offense. Do I want to sit here and say I want to see the stats, or I want to see helping the offense? I want to see helping the offense. So Dak's mobility is finally being weaponized by Dak, by McCarthy, and it's not difficult to point to all these areas I just mentioned, guys. Pre-snap motion, creating going to 3-by-1 formations, more bunch formations, play action, 4 or 5%, 4 to 5, I'd say 40 to 50% of the time. That is what we need to do with Dak's mobility. On top of that, these 5 things are why this offense is not, we're getting a lot of points now. We're moving down the field, guys, against bad teams. We weren't moving the goddamn ball. Let's be honest, right? We weren't doing what we were doing the last 5 weeks against bad teams the same, or good teams the same. It was a whole different offense. We all can agree to that now, I think, right? I mean, the pre-bye week was a sluggish, ugly, non-attacking offense. After bye week, it's not static, it's moving. It is hard to stop. And again, unless this was up again, that's why I keep saying, was this a plan from McCarthy to hold back these things until later in the year? Maybe he didn't want to break it out so easy, so fast. He wanted to wait till the playoffs or something. I don't know. But all I do know is that this new offense is much harder to stop for opposing defenses, good ones or bad ones. So that is an advantage. That's an improvement the Cowboys have pulled up into this season. Now, as far as, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, baby, or if the chat has any thoughts on this, but when it comes to Mike McCarthy's thoughts today on our Cowboys, he did speak, again, after the game. I didn't say much, but today, before I don't say practice, but today in his Monday press conference, he was asked about the offense. And he said, quote, what you're seeing this last month is that we're hitting on all cylinders. And he said it all starts with what's going on up front. He believes the offensive line hit their stride yesterday. So we'll talk more about the offensive line in a little bit. McCarthy also said about Dak Prescott, quote, or about his trust, for Dak's trust, right? He said, quote, I think Dak has a unique high belief in his teammates. So Dak,
like he believes in them more than most, I guess.
Well,
the way he phrases it in a way.
A unique high belief in it. Like basically he over trusts them. Maybe that's what he's saying. But when you see him getting hit, throwing that ball of Brandon Cooks on a dime, that is the best of Dak Prescott right there. And Mike McCarthy said this about CeeDee Lamb becoming the first player in NFL history with 10 catches, 150 yards in 3 consecutive games. McCarthy said, quote, I don't know that I've ever seen anything at this level, but it's an NFL record, so I guess not. Yeah, I don't know. Take it for what he's saying there.
Basically,
like it's something that he's never seen before, so it's a record.
Of course it's something you've never seen before. It's at a record.
True, good point.
That implies you've never seen it before.
It's more of the. It wasn't really the. It's more of the performances, right? That's really hard to do. 3 performances like the way CeeDee Lamb has had. CeeDee Lamb did it, and Mike McCarthy speaking on it. Now, the last thing I'm going to say is this. He said part of the upcoming team discussion on Wednesday is about playing better on the road. He's already planned this out. And, of course, with the Carolina game, it's the last home game. The last road game is the Panther game here coming up, Carolina, before we get 3 in a row at home. So keep that in mind. Actually, 4 in a row at home, right? Washington, Seattle, and then Philly. 3 in a row at home. So McCarthy said a lot of this is about focusing on road games and getting better. McCarthy said, quote, we need to play better on the road. There's no question about that. So there you go. We heard him say basically what we all knew already. So again, I'm kind of very happy about this scheme. I hope it continues. I hope it's successful against better defenses, and I think it will be because overall the offense is more difficult to stop now. The offense is more in motion, more movement, whether it's motion in the players, before the pre-snap, whether it's Dak play action, whether it's Dak using his mobility, whether it's the way we bunch up our players 3-by-1 or bunch of formations. All these things matter to make this offense better. And we're definitely better than we are now than we were before the break, before the bye week. Any quick comments on the chat about this topic?
Have a great night, Fuego. Let me see. Mike Aldana said, Dak can read defenses better if he puts CD or any of our wide receivers or tight ends in motion.
And that's not, again, who said that?
Mike Aldana.
Again, Mike, You're right, but I don't think it's always Dak putting them in motion or not. It's McCarthy's game plan and calls, and that play requires a play action. I
don't think that he meant was Dak.
Okay.
He's just saying that Dak reads defenses better.
True. When you have someone in motion, it tells you if the defense is running man or zone. I mean, that's the first obvious thing, right? So McCarthy maybe doesn't believe in it, but it's not just reading the defense. It's also when you're running in motion. The defensive player has to run with you. It tells Dak, okay, if it's in motion, then I can't go to CeeDee Lamb because if CeeDee Lamb's in motion, he's not going to beat him off the line of scrimmage because even if he's running beforehand, it's still going to be bracketing and kind of a zone coverage. But if he sees a guy following him man to man, as soon as he hits that end of the tight end area there off the line of scrimmage, you can snap the ball and CeeDee's got him beat already. So it helps so many different ways, right? And we're finally fucking using it. I'm talking about with Kellen Moore, we didn't do it. With Linehan, we didn't do it. Now we're finally doing it under McCarthy. And it wasn't at the beginning of the year. We were not doing it very often until after that Niner game. So
anyway, back to you, baby.
All right. Well, now actually to you, baby, because I know other people spoke. Jerry Jones spoke. I know that, we talk about offensive coordinator today. They spoke. So let's start off with those guys, whichever one you think is better. And then we'll get into the players on offense, like Dak Prescott and others.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about Schottenheimer. Since he technically spoke the least today. But
Shoddy, get your shoddy.
I also have, when I talk about Dak later, I know Schottenheimer kind of comments on something Dak related. I saved that one for then. But he did say, as far as what impressed him the most about Dak's performance over the last 4 games, saying, quote, "I think it's the decision making. He's really seeing the field well. He's going through his progressions. He's been decisive. He's not putting the ball in harm's way very often. He's just in total command."
Let me ask you a question.
He sounds like he's going to listen to MCW, but okay.
And now in MCF, because think about the things that changed. I'm saying
my credit.
No. You're right about Dak movement. That's you, baby. But
sorry.
Not
putting the ball in harm's way very often. That to me is, like I said, that he basically hit on all the cornerstones of what we said should be making up this offense, right? First of all, Dak himself actually improving on his reads. Right?
But why is that happening? I think motion, bunch formations, play action, these are the things that help Dak have less issues, and I would help any quarterback have less issues. So
being decisive, again, that to me is not just about decisiveness.
Right, that's
that
on
to
Dak.
Me also goes into speed.
Trust too.
As well, yeah.
But that's also him knowing that if you run this guy in motion or if you have a spread offense, you know that window is going to be open to throw. Exactly. So he should also have more trust to throw it. Then in the first 3 weeks, there was no trust. Not on the players, but in the scheme.
Not even that, but we saw how many times hesitation absolutely killed the play for Dak.
But that's good. But is that the play, or is that the way the play was run and schemed? Because that's what I think it comes down to.
Chicken or the egg? It's in this case it's irrelevant. It's more about the fact that the result is the same. And remember, we're talking about what Schottenheimer said about Dak specifically. So if you want to talk about it, you have to talk about it from a Dak perspective, regardless of whether it was McCarthy or Dak himself. And like I said, to me, I'm sorry, yes, the jewel I hang my hat on, interception-free fucking football. Unfortunately, he did have a pick in this game.
He had a bad one too. Miscommunication by him or somebody. It's on him. But it happens once in a blue moon. That's when it happened to Dak in the last couple of games. Let's say in a bad way.
You could double Dak's picks. He's still behind Josh Allen.
He's behind a lot more than Josh Allen, but yes, you're right.
Anyway, speaking of, coordinators, Dan Quinn.
No, we'll get to Dan Quinn later. Okay. Yeah, I just want to stick it off. Is that all that Schottenheimer said?
That was pretty much it from Schottenheimer.
Okay. Well, I wanted to kind of touch on something he spoke on. And also somebody else that spoke today, which is Rain Dakota Prescott. He'll be up next in a minute. But what Schottenheimer said is very interesting to the way that Dak played this game. Now, let me explain what I mean by that, baby. Because Dak Prescott, when you look at what he did in this game, and before you get the Dak quotes and stuff, I want to say that Dak completed 26 out of 35 passes. That's not even that many passes. For 404 yards. 4 touchdowns. He had that one ugly pick. He completed, again, 11 out of 14 of his passes. All right, I'm sorry. He completed 11 out of 14 passes that were over 10 yards or more in air yards. All right? And that total of air yards, those deeper 10 or longer passes, he added up to 271 yards and also 3 touchdowns. Again, in the last 2 seasons, CPOE, which is an analytic about over expectations, the 10-yard passing for him, he had 34 plus 34.5% on CPOE, which is, by the way, the most any quarterback has ever had in the last 2 seasons. So that means he went over the expectation of the deep passes he was going to have in this game. Dak completed 12 of his 18 passes against man coverage. He was fantastic against man coverage for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Yeah. He leads the NFL in yards, touchdown passes, and passer rating, CPOE, EPA, and success rate versus man coverage this season. Number 1 in the NFL, guys, against man. You're looking at the man, Dak Prescott. Yeah. Isn't that kind of interesting how that goes sometimes? Mm-hmm. When you sit, you get the right defense and the right scheme on offense, you can really slice and dice anyone you want. Now, again, passing yards entering this season, 948 yards in passing yards when it comes to versus man, that's first. Touchdown passes, he has 13 versus man, that's first. Passer rating, 136.1 versus man. Dak Prescott is number 1 in the NFL. Completion over expectation, plus 13.5, that's number 1. And success rate versus man coverage, 60% of the time, that's number 1 in the NFL. This is also Dak. This is Dak's 10th career game, and I know he did it against some shitty defenses. His 10th career game with 400 or more passing yards. You know how much all the other Dallas Cowboy quarterbacks in all-time history, every quarterback that we've ever had outside of Dak Prescott, you know how many times they threw combined for over 400 yards? 9 times. Dak's done it more than every quarterback in our history. And I'm sorry, guys. I know playing shitty teams. Everyone's going to say he's doing this against bad teams. Well, he's the greatest bad quarterback ever because it's still very hard to consistently destroy teams with 400 yards passing. I don't care who the fuck you are.
And I don't care how bad you are.
Exactly. It doesn't matter how bad you are. If you can do that many times, you're pretty goddamn good. You just got to be good. You just can't be all about the bad defenses. So I just want to clarify that. It's not saying I'm putting him on a fucking unbelievable pedestal. I'm just saying these are facts. Now, Dak also absurd 97.2 QBR rating on Sunday. That's the best single game rating by a quarterback in the NFL this entire season. And don't tell me Patrick Mahomes and other quarterbacks out there right now haven't played shitty defenses like the Cowboys have. They have. Dak just did the best against them. So right now, Dak currently ranks 3rd in the NFL in QBR with a 72.5 great rating, trailing only Josh Allen and Brock Purdy. And I'm guaranteeing you right now, probably past Josh Allen today after this performance that he had in this Monday night game. Dak Prescott since week 6 now, since the Charger game after the Niners, Dak is number 1 in passing grade, 92.8. That's elite in the last 4 weeks. 9.7 yards per attempt. That's first in the NFL. 12 passing touchdowns. He has the most passing touchdowns since the Charger game. He has a 10.7% big time throw rate analytical rating, number 1 in the NFL. A 1.2% turnover worthy play rate, that is 4th best in the NFL. 67.1 of his passing yards are air yards, meaning 10 yards or farther. That's number 1 in the NFL. And when you look at just basic yardage, he's 2nd in total passing yards in the last 5 weeks, and that's with a bye week included in there. So right now, Dak is having an incredible streak himself this year. When you look at the most games with 3 passing touchdowns in your first 8 NFL seasons, most games with 3 passing touchdowns in your first 8 NFL seasons in history, every quarterback. Dan Marino has 42 of those games with 3 touchdowns or more in their first 8 years. Mahomes 38, which is incredible, right? Manning 37 in his first 8 years. He had three passing touchdowns in a game. Dak Prescott is 4th all time in the first 8 years with 33, and Dak still has the rest of the season. There's a very good chance he gets 10 more touchdowns in the air the rest of this year. And Dak is probably, he's going to have the most 3 passing touchdown games than any quarterback in history if he gets 10 more. I'm sorry, he's not going to get 10 more. That's going to take a while to get 10 3-touchdown passing games, but it could happen once or twice this year again, so we'll see what happens. Dak tied with Brett Favre with 33, and Aaron Rodgers had 32 in 8 seasons. So Dak just doing it all right now. And yes, against some worse teams. The Eagles aren't bad. Their defense ain't great, but their team is not bad. So
we need to keep seeing this kind of consistently good Dak Prescott.
I love the Dak Prescott we're seeing, but again, I want to remind everybody, shitty teams. It does make a difference. I also want to add one last thing about the analytics, because I talk about a lot of analytics about Dak, but about McCarthy's changes in his scheme. That some of that might have been McCarthy in plan. I think a lot of it may be, like I said this a couple weeks ago, the analytics team didn't start here with us in February. They started in July. So they're a couple months back. And now I thought about this point is when the analytics team was going to make a difference. And I think it's showing up, because now they're showing Mike McCarthy, hey, you do this, this, and this. It is working analytically for this team. So I think it's all helping Dak Prescott and this entire offense. Anyways, what did Dak Prescott have to say, baby, after this game last night?
So if you guys are here with us live, I called it. I said, I'm like, oh, they're going to be replaying that face everywhere.
The tongue sticking out?
The tongue sticking out, Dak face, where he's like, like almost surprised, right? He said they showed that with a big smile on his face. He's like, I'll be honest, I was throwing it away. But that's CeeDee Lamb being CeeDee Lamb.
So he was throwing it away.
I didn't quite get it out of bounds, and CeeDee came back, and that's kind of why I stuck my tongue out. Like, man, I just put it in his vicinity, and it's going to be his or nobody's. That was a wild play.
So it wasn't crazy. It wasn't crazy for me to say and scream really loud, he's throwing it out of bounds, because he actually was.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb with the play.
Dak fully intended to throw it out of bounds. So Darius Lamb said, hold up.
Hold up. Let me get that ball.
As far as, CeeDee Lamb, Dak said, I don't even want to call it a streak, because that's just who he is.
Basically, he's like that all the time, is what Dak is saying. And if we keep doing this, they're going to start doubling and tripling team. I don't know what they're going to do.
CeeDee's not having a good streak. That's just
that's just
CeeDee Lamb baseline level now. So, adding on to that, right? Brandon Cook saying that guy deserves it more than anybody. He will have more of these games.
You're talking about who, CeeDee or Dak?
I just said Dak on Brandon Cook.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, I thought you meant Brandon Cook said that. I missed that, baby. My fault.
It's all right.
But yeah, it's interesting that he's going to be. That means we're going to focus a little more on Brandon Cooks as well. I think the rest of this year, get him implemented in the offense.
And not just that, but again, whatever thing was holding him back, it seems like they've surpassed.
They figured it out.
We got to talk about the other receiver though. Gallup, Prescott only had good things to say about Gallup.
Well, he had 2 catches and a touchdown.
If anyone's a fan of MG, it's me. So, again, like I said, no surprises there.
No, but it's great that I'm not going to talk much about Gallup. I'll talk one more thing about Gallup. But Gallup had a much better game he's had, even with only 2 catches. Got a lot of yards. He got like 70 yards and a touchdown that was incredible. So Gallup did some great stuff yesterday.
Again, he contributed more in these 2 plays than he did in a whole game
season.
where he's done other things
all
way
season.
more. So
this is the best game he's had.
Rolling back to Brandon Cooks, Dak Prescott added in there saying, I told him, let's put the work in and it's going to come out. He's been there for us all year when we needed him to. There are games where we've come back and wondered if we could have gotten him more involved, and sure, maybe so, right? He's that type of player that deserves those questions when he's not getting those targets or those catches. The communication we've had throughout this week, and we had a great week of practice. And when they double CeeDee, he went and beat his man and made it easy to throw. So to me, that's the real part that's been missing. Because let's be honest, guys, the separation on this team, receiver-wise, has been lackluster. CeeDee Lamb was basically the only one who managed to get over that hump. But we never quite saw Brandon Cooks get that type of separation. And he got close a few times.
But why?
Had a few plays.
But why is that, though? You know why? Because the plays were run to go curled, to go out, to do a quick slant and come back. I mean, it wasn't a comeback, right? It was not these plays that we're seeing him be able to go some yards after the catch. That makes a difference when you put your receiver, when he's going to throw the ball and the play's going to be designed for a quick curl, he's going to get stopped shortly after that. But when you're doing a flowing play and you're going a little deeper, attacking deeper, Brandon Cooks is being used the way he's supposed to be used.
Yeah,
McCarthy finally got
in there as well. That's what it's about. Get that guy the ball and let him go run. Multiple big plays.
Yak.
I didn't even realize he had 100 yards at halftime. For him to have that production is awesome.
Me neither.
The guy deserves it more than anyone. Amazing teammate, amazing friend, amazing guy that does everything the right way.
The key's going to be, here's the key, baby. When it comes to this, I know we play the Giants, so I'm just going to do it. But this is what I asked for. I said I wanted to see the way we used, Brandon Cooks. And the thing is, we used them properly. All I'm going to say is this. You're not going to see us every game from Brandon Cooks, but the games that you see, when they like you see Dak talking about it, when they take out a CeeDee Lamb and really double him, now we know how to use Brandon Cooks. We didn't know how to do this before this, believe it or not. Now we know how, and that's going to be something that's going to be harder for even the good defenses to stop us.
Dak adding in there, he deserves that, and he'll have more of them, I promise you.
Yeah.
It might not be an every week thing, but he will have more of these games.
There you go.
That's why he was brought here. We'll find him more. That's what I told him.
Yeah, I say this. The offensive season started after the Chargers game. After the bye week, our offensive team really started getting going.
And Dak started waxing poetic.
Oh, really?
Thinking about, what our defense is going to do. Quote, I'm interested in what they'll do. Are you going to leave CD one-on-one then? In this league, you understand people are always trying to take away what you do best. But when those guys go out and perform like they did, I don't know what a defense does. You have to leave one-on-one somewhere. And Gallup is going to make those plays. Cooks is going to go make those plays. Ferguson is going to go make them.
Exactly.
You want to play soft? We'll get the run game going even more. Sure. I'm interested to see how it goes. Exactly. So Dak's finally realizing what happens when your offense is ticking and everything is working the way it should. Man, how do you stop us? Again, not saying it's impossible. Not saying you can't.
Well, better defenses will do better.
How do you do it? How do you do it?
It's tough.
Dak also spoke a little bit on CeeDee Lamb, the fact that he's ranking, number one amongst the top receivers. He's saying he's the guy I throw to. I know the work that he puts in. Talented guy, and he's young. He's just scratching the surface, and he's special.
We're going to hear from CeeDee Lamb. We're going to talk about CeeDee Lamb here in a minute or two.
And by the way, speaking of CeeDee, you know how he broke that record? Dak was petitioning hardcore.
Whoa. What is that? Snoth aching? Snot hacking. There it is. What the fuck I'm talking about. Snot hacking in the house.
There you go.
Hacking up some snot. Welcome to my Cowboys family.
I was going to say Snow the King. So, but
different ways.
Lots of ways you can see that. Thank you for joining the family.
Yes.
But yeah, like I said, so Dak was like petitioning hardcore to Schottenheimer saying, hey, I want to be out there with him to break that record. Schottenheimer said, absolutely the fuck not.
Yeah, because Cooper Rush is the one that threw 2 quick ones to him and got the record and got out.
Yeah. So I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, Cactus G says, I hope they get full of themselves again, and I agree. That's the one thing we got to be careful. And the fans, too. We know what they can do. We can see some of the things coming through. Let's not get overly confident because we need to see this against better teams consistently. And then we may start thinking, okay, can we make a run in the playoffs? That's me, at least. That's me.
And the final Dak Prescott specific quote, from him anyway, is saying, I've never been a statistics guy, honestly. So in that sense, it doesn't matter. But what I can tell you is I've never been as confident, as free, as connected with the other guys in the offense. Play calling and just this whole system. And what we're trying to get after is I am now.
All right. Well,
so basically just saying out loud what we already knew. This is the most comfortable Dak has ever been with our current offensive scheme. And the best he's ever looked with the current offensive scheme. Yeah, Unless you like, Kellen Moore hyperinflation stats.
Yeah, that's really the pinnacle of that. I think this was a much more balanced game from offense and defense. So defense could have been a little better in the beginning, but I'd say later on in the second half. I'm sorry, that's when we really suffered that second half. Anything else from Dak, maybe?
Jerry Jones had a.
Well, no.
I told you it was done from Dak, but it is a Dak quote.
Oh yeah, it's a Dak related thing. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, trust me on this one.
All right, so what did Jerry say?
He said, as far as Dak Prescott, he's playing as good as I've ever seen him play. He's playing with confidence, but knowledge of the offense. He's playing in sync with his coaching as good as I've ever seen him play.
That's major right there. Again, Jerry Jones is going to always say that, but we also are seeing
in this case, Jerry Jones is right.
Yeah. Jerry Jones, the clown show, allowed to be right once in a while. By the way, Eric Black said, MCF, not only that, but you make room for one-on-ones with your tight end. It opens up the run a little more, which makes room for play action. I think it'll work out fine, and that's the point. I think that is the thing. Is I just wanted. Eric, I know it could work. I wanted to see it work, and we did it against a shitty defense. Let's see it against the Niners and the Eagles. I guess are not that great, but they still got some players on there. My point is, this needs to be this is like our practice. The next 3 weeks are practice. This week, the Panthers and Washington should be practice. I'm not trying to down these other teams, but we got to play it out. We got to take it serious. This is how we're going to have to do this against the good teams. This is against the Bills, the Eagles, the Dolphins, the Lions. Those are the 4 games after these 3, and with the Seahawks before that one, and they're a playoff team. So right now, you're 100% right, Eric. I mean, we got to see it. I think it's going to work out. We're going to spread it out. It's going to work. That's Mike Aldana said the consistency every week. That's important. 100%. Seabass in the house. Asmodeus. So, by the way, Seabass over everything here with us, repping that star. Asmodeus said, what I mean is, since Steele is practicing against the best, shouldn't he play well, polished, and not stinking up the joint? He had a much better performance against the Giants. And the Giants have good players as rushers, I will say. But again, he had a much better game. Still, to me, I need to see Terrence Steele keep up that consistency as well, right? We'll talk about the offensive line in a minute. But again, who else? You were saying somebody else spoke, so I don't know if anything more related to this or who's the next guy on tap, because I got some CeeDee Lamb discussions to get to here.
The next guy on tap.
So if it's if it's just basic stuff, let's hear it. Let's hear what CeeDee Lamb had to say as I pop him up on the screen here.
CeeDee said, "I'm the top receiver in this game, and it's no question about it.
Ooh.
If there is, I'll see you all next week."
Ooh. Keep that fire, young man. Keep that fire. If CeeDee Lamb can listen, I'm going to be honest with what Dak said about CeeDee Lamb. That he said that, or was it Brandon Cooks, about he didn't have 100 yards at halftime. It was Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, that was on Brandon Cooks.
I got to admit, I didn't realize it either. And the other thing is that, I think Dak said that about CeeDee too, and I'm like, I kind of agree, because CeeDee Lamb is a guy who does this effortlessly right now. Double-teamed or not double-teamed, he gets open. And I think CeeDee Lamb is a guy who, is turning into that. I said this at the beginning of the season. He's going to be a top 5 receiver. I think he thinks he's number 1. And I love that shit. I love it. Hannibal King, 47 in the house, dropping that 1-0. That Cooper Rush. That $10 holler, taking Jason Renfro down. The 42 points on the stream, boss. What did Hannibal King have to say?
Loved what I saw from 23 on the ground, who's new. And our receiver, 83, that's a Brooks, right?
Yeah.
Already knew Dak can do this. The man was once a route to 6,000 yards in the air. He's just missing those 2,000-yard receiver now.
It's not just that. I mean, we seen Dak succeed.
I know, and that's what I meant by the Kellen Moore hyperinflated stats, because a lot of that came from a lot less consistent play than what we're seeing now. And the reason you also won't ever get near that is because even the games where we're absolutely crushing and dominating, like, yes, Dak is putting up yards and stuff like that, but we're also not being forced to throw as much. So,
well, it's a way to. We are throwing a lot. We're not being forced to, but we're choosing what to
that's throw. That's what I mean by forced to throw. Like, again, choosing to throw is one thing, or choosing to do it. But like I said, the difference between the Kellen Moore just pass happy, slinging it.
Yeah, up by 17 or 21, and we throw still, first, second, third down.
And that's what I'm trying to say. That it's going to be harder for him to get to that point, but it's not from a lack of good production or honest attempts, right? It's just a natural way that the scheme has developed. But I mean that, like I said, in a positive way. And I also agree. Finally, some serious Rico Dowdle sightings. I mean, it only took 10 freaking weeks.
Well, you're going to like what I say about Rico, and baby.
Also, side note, Brooks absolutely did a
number
fantastic
83.
job holding it down there. Honestly, I am looking forward. I think that he should start getting that 1 to 2 snaps that usually Schottenheimer would keep trying to target him.
He had 3 catches. He had 3 catches yesterday. So that's saying a lot for Mr. Brooks.
If you really want to target somebody that might stand a chance of actually catching the ball, that has a little more size and heft to them, that you don't want to hit Ferguson for.
Yeah,
I mean, just saying. Maybe Brooks is the
this
guy
is another
that I
option.
would like to see there.
It's just another option for the Cowboys, and if in need, we know what we got there. We got somebody who can contend. That's what's important there.
Kind of rolling back a little bit here to CeeDee Lamb. On if he's ever seen Dak this dialed in. He said, yes, I have. And I can't wait to see it again next week, the following week, and the week after.
Hell fucking yeah.
You know it. So as far as,
How about the week after that, though?
Is CeeDee Lamb locked into the zone? He said, absolutely, and it's not stopping. So, and he's saying, I'm more than a 1. I'm the top receiver in this game.
Ooh, that's the fire right there. I like that confidence. That's what that's what an 88 does. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, and honestly, yeah, CeeDee Lamb's confidence, and the best thing is, it's not like he's out there shit-talking or whatever. Like, he's just stating facts.
Again, being number 1 is an opinion.
Water is wet.
But he's putting up...
CeeDee Lamb is on his way to being a number 1 receiver, or being the number 1 receiver.
I mean, right now, I think most teams would love to have him over most of those guys on any receiver list. I
have to admit, there's still a part of me that just feels a joy at knowing that every time CeeDee Lamb does something great, the Eagles are sitting there kicking themselves somewhere in the corner. Back to you, my
love. You know what's great too about CeeDee Lamb is that if he ends up continuing this great play of his, I know some people don't want to hear this, but Jerry Jones is gonna be breaking the bank.
I did see. I have to admit that I saw this on Twitter. It wasn't me. Can't take credit for it. I don't remember who said it, but I think I saw someone say that after this game, just hand this to CeeDee Lamb. And it was the progressive name your price tool. You get it?
Yes.
You get it? So that was funny as shit to me. Credit to whatever smart internet person thought of that and posted it on social media so we can all enjoy it. Oh, so anyway, that was it from CeeDee Lamb. I don't know if you want me to touch on Michael Gallup or if you have some CeeDee Lamb things you want to touch on first.
First, let me touch on a couple of things CeeDee Lamb, because he had a fucking fantastic day again, 3 straight weeks in a row. CeeDee Lamb had 11 catches for 151 yards and a touchdown on 14 targets. He was only, 3 plays didn't complete. 3 passes. Last week was about the same thing too. I mean, it was incredible. Dak and CeeDee Lamb connected. He also had a 14. He caught a touchdown pass. But he had a 14-yard touchdown run. That's his fourth straight 100-yard receiving game. He's tied with Terrell Owens for the longest streak of 100-yard games in Cowboys history. So he gets one more 100-yard game, and he's now broken the all-time record for the Cowboys. Well, let's not end there, baby. In 2023, that's this season so far, he already has, like I said, 4 games with fourth straight 100-yard game. But how about 4 games with 10 or more catches and 150 yards receiving? This season, he's done that 4 times already. And that is also a new record for the Cowboys, single season record, guys. No Cowboy receiver, not any 88 and nothing, has had 4 games in a season with 10 catches and 150 plus yards receiving. Not one. Michael Irvin was the last one to do it. In 1995, he had 3 games with 10 or more receptions and 150 or more receiving yards. That was the previous record. Isn't that amazing? One of the greatest 88s there, Michael Irvin, the playmaker, only did this 3 times in a season. CeeDee Lamb has already done it 4 times. That's incredible. In his 4th season. I'm saying 4 times this year, though, and he's in his 4th year. Anyways, again, in this game, he had finished with 11 catches, 151 yards. He established an NFL record in the Super Bowl era with his 3rd consecutive game of 10 catches and 150 yards. There have been only 8 other players in NFL history since then that's had a 2-game streak. You understand, guys? It's a 3-game streak. And what about history hitting... let me actually kind of make this a little bit of a joke, but I guess it's not really a joke because I guess it could happen. Could happen. I don't think it'll happen, but it could. What if this streak goes all the way to the record books? I'm just saying. So what I'm trying to... Let me explain. And again, I'm talking about a different record that's been set by an Eagle this year. Wide receiver A.J. Brown has the record for 6 consecutive games that he's had over 125 yards. It's not about receptions. It's not about over 150. 125 yards. The streak ended against the Cowboys last week. We ended that streak. To break this record, and keep close here with you see the schedule, CeeDee Lamb would have to do this in 7 weeks. 7 consecutive weeks. He's already got, again, 3 consecutive weeks already. He would have to do this in 7 games. And that would end up being week 14 against the Philadelphia Eagles. If he gets over 125 yards against the Panthers, 125 yards against the Washington Commanders, and 125 yards against the Seattle Seahawks in receiving yards for CeeDee Lamb in the next 3 games, just 125 yards, he ties Eagle receiver A.J. Brown. And if he does it in that week 14 game, he'll break the record of A.J. Brown against the Philadelphia Eagles.
There you go.
So let's see what happens. Listen, all I'm going to say is this. Look at the next 3 weeks. Carolina, 178.3 passing yards per game allowed. They got a good pass defense. Well, this is the best one we're going to see in a while. So that's going to be a good test, at least on that side of things. Washington Commanders on Thanksgiving, they allow 252 yards plus per game passing. That's 27th in the NFL. Horrific. The Seahawks, they are the next Thursday Night Football, 232.1 passing yards per game. That is 20th in the NFL. Not very good either. So if we get past the Panthers and CD can put up over 125, or we're hoping 10 catches and 150 plus, right? But let's say he just gets over 125 against Carolina, that's going to come down to that Eagle game. I think he could easily get 125 against Washington and Seattle each. He gets 125 against the Eagles, which I think he could do. The Eagles have a very good pass defense. That would be an unbelievable record to kind of re-break in the same season and doing it against the fucking Eagles. Wouldn't that be just nice? I want to win the Super Bowl. Fuck everything else. But that's just a nice bonus is what I'm thinking. Now, when you look at the most receiving yards over the last 3 weeks, you know the best 3 receivers are in the last 3 weeks in yardage? Number 1, CeeDee Lamb, 503 receiving yards in 3 weeks. Number 2 on this list, Noah Brown. The last 3 weeks, he's had 382 yards for the Houston.
I'm sensing a trend here.
And the third guy, Amari Cooper, with 326 yards. Guys, yeah. CeeDee Lamb, Noah Brown, Amari Cooper, the best receivers in yards the last 3 weeks combined.
Feels like 2 weeks in a row because I know last week we mentioned like
Noah
5
Brown,
or 6 guys
Schultz,
that were all
Cooper.
Either current Cowboys or former Cowboys that were like out there rocking it and having a great game. So once again, McClay, you know what you're doing. Although obviously not every single one of those was McClay, but like 95%. Thank you, Jason Renfro.
Jason.
There.
He's in the house.
Cowboys.
With the Go Cowboys. Jason Renfro popping up on that, kicking it off for him this week here. Again, I shouted out his Cash App from last night. And now Jason Renfro officially on the board. With, I'm sorry.
You're going to say something else
No, in 6th place. That's all.
Now, Eric Black, a very, very, very good point, and that's where this has to go where we expect it to, but then finish in a different way, right? He said records are pointless without the big wins and the big games to go with it. So,
Agree. That's what I was saying.
These types of wins and doing these types of things goes hand in hand into that, right?
I agree.
Because I'm just saying
it builds towards that, but we have to get the final ring on it, right? Or else it's just hollow.
It'll all, even though it's great, it'll all still be slightly meaningless because the purpose of it is to get to where we want to go. Especially because you mentioned yesterday specifically, like the way that the playoffs would stand, like not pretty for Dallas if you have to face off against the Niners again.
Started off right now, that's what it would be. But that's the thing. I think that the Cowboys have to, kind of take a step by step and just know that we're just polishing ourselves for the final run. That's the way I'm looking at it. These games must be big wins for the Cowboys. And I don't mean important. I mean must wins, big wins, beat these teams down to the ground, and then know what you can do now. That's part of the Brandon Cooks factor of this game, which is big. A Rico Dowdle factor. I'm going to get to these other guys right now, baby. I'm almost done here with my point. I don't even get it back to some of the other guys that spoke, but let's talk about the other receivers. Because right now, when you look at the snap count, listen to this about with the Giants. CeeDee Lamb had 60 snaps, which we know. You know who was number 2 on this list? Jalen Tolbert. He had 48 snaps for Jalen Tolbert in this game. Brandon Cooks got a little banged up. 41 snaps for Brandon Cooks. That's 7 less than Tolbert. And then Michael Gallup. Only 37 snaps in this game. Again, compared to Tolbert, had 48. So Tolbert had 11 more snaps than Michael Gallup in this game and was used in a lot of blocking situations, right? Yeah. Jalen Brooks, 24 snaps. That's a fucking career high for him right now.
A lot more than I expected.
So again, guys, Jalen Brooks at 24, Gallup at 37 snaps, Brandon Cooks at 41, Tolbert at 48, and of course CeeDee Lamb at 60. I'm not saying this is the way it's going to be every week, but I don't mind it because I think you can pick and choose how you use your guys for the best of their skill set and their ability. You don't have to use Gallup a lot if you're going to just pop him in there for some deep passes or some possession stuff. And you can use more Tolbert to block in the running game, to block down the field after a pass. That's part of the way, that the riddle that has to be fixed here, right? So I'm looking forward to see what is done there. We'll keep an eyeball on the snap counts for the receivers. Now, just real quick, Cooper Rush, who played in this game, of course, threw the interception, but he was 7 for 9 for 68 yards in this game. And I'm going to talk about the running backs just for a quick second. Rico Dowdle, 12 carries, 79 yards, and a touchdown. Pollard had 15 carries, 55 yards, no touchdown. Again, you're seeing Dowdle, outrush Pollard by 25 yards or more, actually, on 3 less carries. And of course, Rico scored that touchdown, right, on the goal line there. And then Brandon Cooks, just to throw him in there, because I know you said Brandon Cooks spoke, right?
Yes, he did.
Brandon Cooks, 9 catches, 173 yards. And a TD, baby. In fact, the best game he's had for the Cowboys. And hey, maybe he will get to 1,000 yards this year and make it a record for him. When it comes to 5 teams at 1,000-yard season. What did Brandon Cooks have to say today or last night after the game, baby?
Oh, well, I'm actually gonna.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, I had one comment by Gallup that I wanted to touch on first, just because after that, Brandon Cooks speaks
go ahead.
quite a bit more.
We talked about Gallup already in his snap count.
Yeah, and Gallup honestly just touches on all the guys, saying other teams are going to have to play us way different now.
Yep.
Cooks went for 173. CD goes for 151. I went for 70. You can't play us like you've been playing us. It's going to change it up just a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's been doubling CD. We're going to see how they're going to play us now. They think they're going to have to they think they have us figured out.
Gallup had to be a guy that catches the ball. If he catches the ball, he has a much better looking season. But the issue was still the scheme, the play routes for these players. It was not a good scheme for McCarthy. Now you're seeing how they're all getting used for their skill set. Gallup going deep. Cooks stretching the field and going intermediate all over the place, getting the yak yardage. CD doing receiver number one things. Now we're feeling that motion, that flow going. And I'll say something about the tight end in a minute too, but we'll get back to the running backs. But what else did Brandon? That was Michael Gallup. What did Brandon Cooks have to speak on this?
I just think we're fortunate enough to come out here and get that win and have a productive day to help my team win. I just continued to trust the process. Like I've always said, the ball came my way, and I just wanted to be able to take advantage of the opportunities. I think at the end of the day, like I tell the other guys, just trust the process, and when your number is called, take advantage of them. When the ball comes your way, go out there and make plays. It's a blessing. It's been a hard couple years, but my faith and my work ethic, my family, my wife and my kids, they just continued to push me and keep going.
The only thing that stands out to me about that is trust the process. I think of Jason Garrett again. Anyways.
I know.
I can get that out of my head. It's PTSD of Garrett.
So Brandon Cooks was also asked if he's ever experienced anything like the 160 to 50 differential at home by the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, this
he said,
year.
Absolutely not, no. And he was asked, what fuels it? He said, our fans get us going. Don't want to waste people's time and hard-earned money that they spent to support us. Can't let them down.
Damn right. He's right about that. We all agree on that comment.
Oh, yeah. So, and then as far as his trust down reception, Brandon Cooks said, that's just a trust throw right there. Dak trusting in me and me going up there and then making that play for him. So, again, going back to that comment by McCarthy, sometimes Dak trusts his players a little too much, right? That could have gone way left.
Yeah, but Dak
Cooks
was getting...
not done well. But I mean, just look,
but Dak did an amazing
pass. I mean that in a
pass.
bad way. I mean that in just a... just showing the double-edged sword there. But hey, we're on the right side of it right now.
That was
guess what? Brandon Cooks matched Dak's trust in him.
Well, that's the thing, though. Dak knew that if he launches this ball out there, Brandon Cooks will get there. And it was a place where no one else could get to. It was a great pass by Dak. And he trusts... whatever it did this last couple of weeks, the play calling definitely did a big jump.
But
I think
hard work they put in...
Yeah,
absolutely helps. But yeah, the fact that Dak is so trusting in a weird way, I feel like it does psychologically affect the players.
It does.
Be like,
yeah.
oh, you trust me? Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
I agree.
You can't fake that either.
Yeah, and Dak showed that as he was getting pummeled with that big hit by Dexter Lawrence, who had a great game, by the way, disruptive. But he pummeled Dak, and Dak put a 40-yard dime right into Cooks' hands. That's the trust we want to see going forward. Brandon Cooks laying it out there.
So, that was it from Brandon Cooks.
Oh, is there any other offensive players that spoke?
Yeah, Dowdle. Hey,
okay.
Don't doubt the Dowdle.
Well, hold on then. I'm gonna actually, before you get to Dowdle, let me talk about Dowdle. I want to know, that's one of your big things here. And look, I'm gonna put up Tony Pollard here. I don't even have Tony Pollard.
Seeing more Dowdle was a huge thing on my general moving forward radar.
Yes, the Dowdle situation. Actually, why don't you? I guess you can speak on Rico. Go ahead and speak on him first there, and then I'm trying to see if I have...
Yeah, it's all right. So, first of all, he was averaging around 6.6 yards per carry. He had it in there. It means a lot just to get out there and get opportunities to show what I can do. That's all I've ever wanted. All of us in the backfield are different backs. And Tony and I have the potential to break big plays. We complement each other real well.
Talking about Tony Pollard there from Rico Dowdle.
So, and then he was kind of asked to describe his running style, right? Is it bully ball or more of a quickness and finesse type of thing? He said it's
bully.
C, all the above.
He does have both possibilities.
Different. I'm just me. I've got it all. It's something I've always put pride into, being a physical back, a strong runner downhill that goes north and south. I also have the ability to make guys miss in space as well.
I mean, Dowdle has shown all these things. He ain't just blowing smoke here.
I agree. He had it in there. We're just a bunch of ball players making plays for the team. It's a complementary football. You got to be able to run it, and you got to be able to pass it. And when it's all working well, we'll be working well. So we'll definitely got to have it. It's just all about staying consistent at this point. I've always felt that each year I put the work in to go out there and be able to play. I've been wanting to do that forever. As in, celebrate in the end zone.
Hey, and he did it. He got that touchdown yesterday. Big congrats to Rico Dallin. Baby, I think we saw, I'll talk about him in a minute. By the way, Seabass in the house. Much love to him. He said, running the ball, that's complimentary football. It's complimentary, but you start with the passing, right? I talked about it earlier. I should have brought up the other thing I did not bring up, which was in the McCarthy scheme that's kind of been tweaked. And he talked about 5 points. Let me add a 6th point. And that's early down passing. First and second down, throwing the ball was fantastic. I think it was like 70% to 30% run. On first and second downs, that is the way. That is the ticket. So it's not running, it's passing to then later on run a little bit more when you want and kind of control the game a little bit that way. Rico Dowdle, to me, I don't know how I know you've been pushing for Rico. We've been talking about him.
Yes.
Rico Dowdle, again, is basically, I think he needs more carries in the backfield. He has a violent running style. He also has an explosive running style. And that's what we're missing when it comes to running the ball. We don't have an explosive runner at running back. Pollard's a different kind of explosive, like quickness and movement. He is strong, but he doesn't have that violent running that you see from Rico Dowdle. Listen to this, baby. This year for Rico Dowdle, 47 carries, 212 yards rushing, 1 rushing touchdown. He's averaging 4.5 yards per carry, which is very good. He has 8 targets in the air, 8 catches, 100%. 1 receiving touchdown, 57 yards receiving, no drops, and 8.2 yards per reception, 75 yards after the catch. That's the explosiveness. That's that violent running. His overall grade this year on PFF, 71.3, which is pretty good for a backup running back. He's 71.3. Listen to the other guys below him. Saquon Barkley, A.J. Dillon, Ramon Stevenson, Bijan Robinson, and Tony Pollard. So right now, analytically, yards per game, just his violent, explosive abilities. We got to see more Rico Dowdle in the offense. I don't care what McCarthy said. Oh, we don't want to do this. Fuck that. We got to use him in the offense. Not all the time, not the starter. Just get him in there. Get him a little Zeke, but reverse it. Like we used to run Zeke this much, 70%, and and Pollard 30%. Let's run, Pollard 70%. And instead of 90%, and let's get Rico that 30 or even a little bit more percent there, as running the ball. So when it comes to running the ball, I don't know. I'm looking at Rico getting more snaps. That's one of the we've talked about the receiving side of things. Rico, the offensive strategy, the scheme, getting more Brandon Cooks involved, Tolbert getting more snaps. I'm just saying this is what everyone wants to see, and it's working, and we're getting it at least as we prepare for the real tougher games in a couple of weeks. What about tight end? I don't know if you have anybody else to speak on offense, maybe, but at tight end...
offensively, no, that was it.
No offensive lineman, because I got a tight end talk here. Real quick, interesting little thing about Ferguson. And I don't know, if you knew this about our tight end position, baby. I know we lost Schultz, and everyone's kind of like, oh, I don't know. You know that the Cowboys, Jake Ferguson, first Cowboys tight end to have a touchdown catch in 3 straight games since Jason Witten.
Good for him.
Jason Witten. Now, what I'm trying to say is that we had, Blake Jarwin, we had Dalton Schultz, and none of these 2 guys were able to get 3 touchdowns and, a touchdown for 3 straight consecutive games. Even with all the reliance on the tight end, how do you explain that? Because Ferguson is better now, in my opinion, and I truly believe this, than these other guys we've had in the meantime. Schultz, I think he has he's at the same level as him, in my opinion, right now, and he has a much higher ceiling in his second year, ready to bypass whatever Schultz could give us. And then, again, when you look at Blake Jarwin, he had an injury situation. Who knows what would have happened? But obviously, since Jason Witten, Ferguson's been our best tight end since even old man Witten, I would say. So what do you think about how did that happen, baby? How did that happen with the tight end situation being the first time you get three consecutive weeks with touchdowns from the tight end, not position, but the player?
I think it's also a reflection on the fact that I remember before that, our tight end was basically the safety blanket. So, don't really get as many chances maybe to hit the end zone if you're constantly being, targeted or just, scheme. To me, scheme is basically what I'm trying to say here. Very roundabout way of saying scheme. So, you need Turpin a little more involved. I agree.
Yeah, he was injured, of course.
But remember, the banged up injury there.
So, just finishing up the offense as we get to the defense, Dan Quinn and the players. The highest graded Cowboys on offense, Dak Prescott, number 1. Brandon Cooks, number 2. CeeDee Lamb, number 3. Jalen Brooks, number 4. Rico Dowdle, number 5. And Tyron Smith, number 6. Let's go with the offensive line. Tyron Smith, remember, he didn't practice last week. He's back. He had a great game once again. 2 weeks in a row, no practice. 2 weeks in a row, great job by him. He did not allow a pressure against the Giants this week 10. He also hasn't allowed a sack or a quarterback hit this entire fucking season. I know he missed a couple games, but when he played, he hasn't allowed a sack, a quarterback hit, and in this game against the Giants, did not allow a pressure. He did have a penalty, a holding penalty, but he only had, again, only 5 pressures allowed this year in 231 pass blocking snaps. Tyron Smith, actually, I've been saying this whole thing without him on the screen. Tyron Smith, kept healthy throughout the week without practicing, is the key. It's kind of like the LVE thing. Less practice, less hitting, manage his time on the field better. And Tyron Smith can play a full game if you don't practice all week. And that's what's going to happen every week. That's what I hope. Great job there. But he's not the only guy, baby. You also got the man, Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith, Smith and Smith left side over there. Tyler Smith is truly the only Cowboys offensive lineman who I believe is a reliable second-level blocker against linebackers. Like the best guy on our team, but also the most reliable guy. It's one of the issues of the Cowboy running game that we have an inability to get past that first level of the trenches and get to the linebackers and see the running backs really getting into that 4th, 5th, and 6th yard. We don't see that as often. It's about second-level blocking from our offensive line. And Tyler Smith is by far the most reliable run blocker. And you might say, well, what about Zach Martin? What about the situation with, Zach Martin's great. What do you think about that, baby? What was your reasoning for that kind of number? Because why is Zach Martin not the more reliable run blocker than Tyler Smith?
I mean, again, to me, who's next to him, right? Unfortunately, Terrence Steele is not having the greatest performance this year, and that makes Zach Martin's numbers suffer. But also Biadasz, who, has kind of had a bit of what I would say an up and down season, right? Because he's had some good performances and good games. He's also had some not so great ones. This past one was surprisingly somewhere on the average side.
Well, the point is that Tyler Smith also has to deal with Biadasz on his right.
He does, but
he's got Tyron Smith on his left.
Obviously, I have to be honest. This is one of those things where, I'm not a center, so I'm assuming it's just he picks a side and then goes to that side,
it's
or
the play
not.
design,
Exactly. So for whatever the reason, Biadasz is just not impacting Tyler Smith as negatively. I have to imagine it's just because maybe more of the help is needed on the right side. He might be right-handed and he prefers to go to the right. Scheme.
I think another...
honestly, the offensive scheme, not just the general scheme there, but as far as okay, they want Pollard, running to the right. They want the guys to pull right or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's...
Yeah, no, I
matchups as well, right? I know we schemed a lot running to the left side on that one game where the left side was weak. So maybe most teams' weaker side is technically on our right side, so that's why you're seeing that more often too. I don't know.
No, here I'll give you the reason. Another reason, actually. You gave some good reasons, but let me give one other good reason here. It is, you're right, it has to do with Terrence Steele, not Biadasz as much, but Terrence Steele. And the fact that he right now, guys, struggling to secure and overtake in the second level. So Zach Martin has to help. It's about those, remember I talked about yesterday, the combo blocks? Those are the big ones. With those combo blocks, Steele is struggling to help his side of the combo. It's two guys, the duo blocks. You have to have both guys have to be at the same level, and Terrence Steele is not there. So Zach Martin he's struggling because of the duo combo blocks, and it prevents Zach Martin from the initial blocks to go to the second level as fast. While Tyler Smith, he can rely on Tyron Smith taking his share of that combo block on the left side. So it's initially the blocking and then second level. Zach Martin staying a little bit longer with his guy trying to help Terrence Steele on the run blocking side. So that is why I'm saying right now our best run blocker, It's not Zach Martin. It's Tyler Smith as of now. Or maybe, but we know why Zach Martin is not there at this moment. Now, baby, flipping into the defense here, I do want to say one thing on the defensive side, and I'm going to put Dan Quinn because I know he spoke. Mm-hmm. But Dan Quinn, I'm going to ask again about these penalties. When you look at the defensive penalties in the NFL, the Cowboys are number one with most defensive penalties in the NFL. We're number one with 32 penalties this year against the defense. 31, or again, this is before the Buffalo game, so we're probably number two now. Mm-hmm. But Buffalo has 31 penalties, one less than us, at least before tonight's game. Denver, 28, which I guess they could have had a couple too. Indianapolis, 26. Miami, 26, 25, 20, all the way down. Who cares? The Cowboys have 32. And Denver and Buffalo, of course, today they played. They were second and third. But the Cowboys have 32 defensive penalties. This must stop. It must be curtailed, or it's going to bite us in the ass in the playoffs. What did Dan Quinn have to say about all of this stuff? I just want to start with some bad. I got a little bit of good here for the defense, trust me. But I need a defense to be like solid every single time, every single game, every single play. I know it can't be perfect, but I want to see that mindset from this defense. I'm still waiting for that. So, Dan Quinn, I just wanted to pick on Dan Quinn for a little bit there. On these defensive penalties, it's not a mirage, it's not an imagination. We have 32 penalties against our defense, number one in the NFL.
I've seen a few comments throughout the night, and I even kind of shared my thoughts on it too. But, Micah Parsons did not exactly have the greatest performance, which is a little surprising considering who we were playing, right? And Dan Quinn's ideas on why that was, right? He said that the Giants were determined to prevent Micah from, quote-unquote, disrupting the game.
So they were doubling him hard.
Basically, Micah had no tackles, no sacks, and no pressures. Quinn saying it's hard on anyone to be in that space, and that, dealing with the amount of attention that he draws, basically that, even Micah is going to occasionally not have the greatest performance if you're constantly double and triple teaming him. This happened to just be one of them? Right? Look, I guess if you're going to have an off day, what a better way to do it? But one nice thing out of all that situation is we did see a little more Micah at linebacker. True. For the first time in a little while.
Well, Micah doing his thing as a pass rush opened it up for a lot of other guys, too.
Oh, no one's denying that. I'm just saying that in general, obviously, he just statistically did not have a productive game, right?
For sure.
Even though we know that what the double and triple coverage does.
Yeah, he wasn't splashing.
For everybody else.
He wasn't splashing on that field like he usually does, but that was the reasoning for that, and other guys succeeded. By the way, baby, Clark motherfucking Kent in the house, dropping that 5 on it.
Ooh, he said...
Kicking it off for the week. What did the man say?
Hey, MCF, I'm being completely honest, guys. If we find a running game constant, I promise you nobody is beating us. The run game opens up everything.
And I know no denying that, but you see,
it's more about the way that you can open up your run game now.
Yeah,
the way we're running our scheme, it's like you open up the run by passing, by scoring,
and by scheming properly. I think that's the key. I think we have enough guys to run well, and it's more about the way. Again, it's hard to explain because to me,
it would be basically. It does feel like I get his general point though.
You have more control with a good run game.
The final missing piece of this offensive puzzle is that kind of missing power back. Like if we had that missing power back and our run game was as unstoppable as it would be in that situation. I mean, again, it's like Dak said earlier. How do you stop us? What are you going to do? Please explain to me how you're going to scheme. Because
you can't stop it.
You will not be able to stop what we were
think
doing
about it. We got Ferguson as a tight end outlet, and he's to me an improvement to Schultz. We got 3 improved receivers. Even if Gallup is still on the uptake, we still have Conte. Turpin will be back, and of course Tolbert, Brooks now coming to the scene. I'm not saying they're going to be able to do those things, but they are a little more reliable now than they were last week, right? Some of these guys, and then you see the running backs. I think that. To me, now is what I'm saying. I think the scheme is helpful and all those things, but we gotta use more Rico Dowdle. I think that's the answer for Clark motherfucking Kent. I think a better usage, a couple more snaps, and a better usage of Rico Dowdle will make Pollard better, will make Rico better, will make the run game better, and in turn makes the offense better.
Adding in there, by the way,
I'm saying that was just the. I know you're just jumping in, but I'm saying that was the offensive, discussion on the running back. I agree. I don't know if we need to bring another guy in. It's more about working the system. You know who works the running back system the most? Brian Schottenheimer. Now, speaking of the other coordinator, Dan Quinn, what did the defensive coordinator say?
Yeah, so Quinn said that, Mozzie and Sam Williams are 2 young players who stood out to him. He said, I just felt their quickness and their movement. Thinks that the arrow is pointing up for both of them. So both guys are trending upward, right? And Quinn actually had way more to say about Mozzie specifically. Ooh. Saying it'd be nice if you just add water and it would be instant kick-ass. But it takes time.
It takes a while for defensive tackles to get to that level, right? A year or two at least. He's starting to grow a little bit now. What else did he say about Mozzie?
Quinn said he is certainly doing that. I thought yesterday was more of what we've seen in practice. So to see him come through like that, play well and be aggressive, taking his shots and pass rushing as well. Hopefully the trajectory, sometimes you need that one moment to help you get going. He's been very steady, so to see that take place was good.
First round pick Mozzie Smith, you just heard Dan Quinn talking about him, had his best game of the season of his career against the Giants. You know what he did out there, baby? He ranked as PFF, remember, as a defensive nose tackle there, 83.9 defensive grade. That is 10th among interior defensive linemen for this week. So he had not just a great game, but a great game even against other guys at his position. He had a 77.5 run defensive grade. So you remember he made a couple of stops on Barkley right off the bat. That was a Mozzie Smith drive, that first opening game drive there on defense for us. And he stopped them. He was 9th among all interior defensive linemen when it comes to the run defensive grade. So run defense, Mozzie Smith, he's starting to show his first trickle of ability. And this, by the way, he didn't play 70 snaps. He played 25 snaps from Mozzie Smith. New York, of course, was playing shitty, guys, especially on the offensive line. But the positive momentum, as you heard Dan Quinn saying this, about Mozzie Smith is very encouraging for something to build on for the rest of the season. So I just want to throw it out there. I know Sam Williams, some reports he had cocaine in his car. Guys, by the way, if you see that, it's bullshit. Don't get tricked. I just want to clarify that. But both these guys are getting better. Yes, Mozzie Smith, this year's first-round pick, last year's second-round pick, Sam Williams. And Dan Quinn is noticing. I'm noticing as well. So what else did Danny Boy have to say?
No, I'm pretty sure that was it from Dan Quinn.
Oh, well then, let me just, I know you had a couple defensive players speaking.
Just the one, Mozzie Smith.
Oh, well, let's hear from him. So there's a Mozzie Smith
minute. Said, the stopping the run, quote, we work hard. We know what it takes to win, and stopping the run is one of the things that we've got to do to win the game. And as far as the confidence, he's saying everyone is important, but we've always been a confident team.
I love it. Mozzie is on the move up. He's not going to happen day one. We knew this. First round pick, second round, it ain't going to happen with a defensive tackle.
Said it. It'd be nice if you could just add water and it was instant kick ass. But
that ain't happening. Exactly.
Nope.
Another guy who I'm going to say he's had a great, unbelievable season, baby. Let's be honest. Number 14. Remember, that was one of the keys, stopping Saquon with Marquise Bell. Marquise Bell had another impressive performance against the Giants. He has his speed, his eyes, his discipline, the ability for him to get in there and make guys miss blocks is a huge boom for the Cowboys, especially in defensive coverage as well. So Marquise Bell having a great day. He was more, listen, I know we talked about LV earlier, but Marquise Bell is the better linebacker. I got to admit it. He was more effective and more impactful, especially when it comes to the coverage side of things and stopping the run. He's really more impressive than LVE. And to me right now, where LVE is at in his career and where Marquise Bell is at in his career, a much higher window for Marquise Bell. To me, the bigger question is, can he survive being linebacker that long? He's making offensive linemen miss him blocking. So if he does that, the answer is yes, he'll survive. The way that Marquise Bell is playing has, to me, he's earned a major role in the Cowboy defense. And again, I don't think LV is returning, but even if he did, he's not going to. LV should be the backup. I'll be honest. If he was going to return, now we know he won't. But if he was going to, I was going to say Marquise Bell's earned that starting job. Him and Donovan Clark. Again, both these guys are our starters. Case closed. Now you know how our defense did in this game, baby. Overall, PFF numbers and such, or whatever it may be. Listen to this. DaRon Bland was ranked number 1 for our Cowboy defense on the analytics side. Marquise Bell, I just mentioned him, number 2. Dante Fowler, number 3. Mozzie Smith, we talked about him a lot on defense. That's 4. And Dorrance Armstrong got a sack as well. That's 5. The Cowboy defense held the Giants, listen to this, on third downs, 0 for 12. The Giants didn't make one third down conversion out of 12. That's the first time an NFL team failed to convert a third down this year. Like a third down. It's the first time it's happened this entire year.
Not just like once.
The entire game.
Throughout the game.
The Giants had between 10 yards and 26 yards to go for first down. That was the average. Sam Williams, like we just discussed, and also don't forget Neville Gallimore got a sack, right? They both had third down sacks, and a lot of that was because of Micah Parsons and his ability to kind of change shit up, right? I mean, we talked about Micah. Actually, let me do this here real quick, because you're going to see Micah against the Giants in week 1. He gets a sack, but you see how he creates the sacks for everyone else after this one. So keep watching. Because, again, one last thing I want to say about the defense. Listen to this stat, baby. This is incredible. This is what is the greatness of the defense. It needs to continue to the bigger games. Although we played some tough games, right, with some tough opponents. Listen to this. We're the only defense right now in the NFL that has not allowed a 300-yard passer, has not allowed a 100-yard rusher, or allowed a 100-yard receiver this season. There's not been one 100-yard receiver, 100-yard running back, or a 300-yard passer that's played us this year. Nobody's been able to do that against us. That, to me, knowing how hard it is to survive that, that's insane for me to think. That's not a stacked, that's not like a combined kind of stat. This is a per-game stat. No quarterback has got 300 yards on us this year. No running back has run for 100 yards on us this year. And no receiver has caught for 100 receiving yards or more this year. That's a testament to the defense. Let's be real.
Agreed.
So, again, I got to shout that out. And now let's finish up this stream. Get your last thoughts out there. Get your last comments. Your last drops of love, whatever, guys. Because let me finish it up with this guy. DaRon Bland, the highest rated guy on our team yesterday on defense. Listen to these numbers, baby. In Week 10 against the Giants, 91.7 coverage grade. That's lockdown. 1 catch allowed for 4 yards. Lockdown. Of course, he had the interception deep. And when he was targeted, 16.7 passer rating from the quarterback. Well, it's Tommy DeVito, but still, he did this to the best quarterbacks too. DaRon Bland's 5th interception, because he caught that 5th interception of his career. Of this season. His fifth interception of the season. He's like second, I think, in the league right now. But that's his 10th in 26 career games. So, again, right now, finishing his second year. He hasn't even finished second year yet. In 26 career games, and I think in like 20 starts. That's his 10th interception. The only other guy that's done that is Trayvon Diggs. And that's in the NFL, by the way. The last 2 players to get into the NFL, this is the last 2 players to get into the NFL to have at least 10 interceptions in their first 26 starts. DaRon Bland is number 1. Trayvon Diggs is number 2. That's the way. That's the order of the best guys to do this. I mean, it's incredible. DaRon Bland this year, when you compare him to other cornerbacks in the NFL, listen to his numbers, baby. 89.4 defensive grade. He's a hair away. He's a cunt hair away from elite as a cornerback in overall defensive number. He's second in the NFL with that number. He's at an 89. He's an 89 PFF analytic in coverage. Second best in the NFL. 5 interceptions. That's number 1 in the NFL. I'm assuming he's tied for number 1 then. 48.8 reception percentage. That's 4th best in the NFL. He's allowed only a 32.8 passer rating against him. That is 1st in the NFL. 88.6 man coverage grade. That is number 1 in the NFL. A 39.5 passer rating allowed in man coverage. That is 4th best in the NFL. I think I said 48.8 reception percentage. 4th best in the NFL. This is domination from a guy who doesn't even have Trayvon Diggs on the other side of him, near him, or on that field with him. So we can't say he's getting help because of this guy. This is all DaRon fucking Bland, and he came into the defense last year with Trayvon Diggs, Anthony Brown, and no Jordan Lewis, and he fucking pumped that defensive backfield up big time. So again, when you look at DaRon Bland, he's allowed. Listen to this, baby. He's the whole year. He's allowed only 21 receptions. That's it. 21 catches against them on 43 targets. So he's knocking down half of those for 226 yards allowed, and only allowed 1 touchdown, which was against the Eagles last week. He also has 6 pass breakups, 5 interceptions, and 8 coverage stops this season. That's Pro Bowl right there, guys. That's a dominating performance, not just this week, but every week against every team, against their best, the worst, it don't matter. DaRon Bland's the real deal, guys, and we talked about him in January before the year we even drafted him. Much love to Tyrone Church and ourselves to pump up this guy from Fresno State. I know Simus loves this guy as well. I'm just saying, the real deal, number 20. Somebody won the jersey. I don't know if it was Amazing Games or Skeptical Fan. Somebody's getting Ferguson, and someone chose DeRon Bland. That's two great guys to choose from for sure. DeRon Bland showing out without questions there, no doubt. So I just want to end it on that good note here. As we turn the page and close the book on the Giants, tomorrow we open up a fresh new page. Carolina Panthers. We're going to keep pounding them starting tomorrow.
That's right. Panthers are little kitty cats.
Last comments and shout-outs, baby. And, of course, hit the thumbs up, guys, the like button. Hit subscribe if you're new. The notification bell if, you are subscribed. You want to make sure you don't go live.
Make sure you don't miss a live stream. Of course, thank you very much to all the people representing on the boards. On this side of thing, right? Jason Renfro, much love to you.
38
Stream
points.
bossing it around as well.
Yeah, 38 points on the Stream Boss. He's also the sponsor of the week and the gifting champion, by the way, as well. 3 out of the 4 boards, he's running them. Much love to Jason Renfro. And don't forget, Jason Renfro, he also is the guy who is the leader right now. Wait, was he the leader? No, I'm saying 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. There is no gifting. He's the gifting champion with 17 last week, but there's nobody in the gifting board right now. Empty, right? And by the way, the only part that Jason didn't take over was this part. Stanley Smith's Cash App King. The crown is Stanley's. He broke a big streak from Snug X. Stanley Smith is the new king there. But we do have a new leader, baby. Do you happen to know who that is? It's Snug X.
Ooh.
Snug Smith. It's Snug X in the house who's currently leading the Cash App board. So I just wanted to make sure we shouted all the family out there on that side. And of course, baby, I want you to shout out everybody in the house right now. Give the last comments with the shout outs as we ride out of here for the night. After this recap, Victory Monday.
Snug X, of course, much love. It's easy to be chill on a Victory Monday like this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we're chilling.
Asmodeus, much love. Don't know how much that fine is yet for Gallimore kicking, but
not yet.
We'll find out soon.
We will definitely. The NFL will definitely let us all know.
Pioneer, have a great night. Dallas Cowboy 92. No, I don't want Zeke back, even if he's released.
Yeah, again, it's about the money more than it was about Zeke, though. Remember that.
Although
Zeke
I guess, if he wants to come back for $5, sure. Clark motherfucking Kent.
Yeah.
Have a great night. Little Dallas Cowboy. We have, let me see. Frank Moyer, Asmodeus, Dallas Cowboy 92. All of you guys, again, huge shout out. Eric Black, Frank Moyer, much love to you. Mike Aldana, C. Bass. We have Eric Black.
Repping it, OG style.
Mike Aldana, Cactus G.
Much love, Snug, by the way. Yeah, man. Snug X, 3 months of Cash App Kingage. That's some real support. That's some real love. Much love to the man, Snug X. Everyone here. Part of this thing with us, riding nightly. And yes, first and foremost on our Cowboys. So hell yeah. Always. Never, ever forget, baby. What is the number one reason why we do our thing here at MCF nightly?
It's that navy blue, that silver too.
Woo!
And that star over everything.
Yeah. Win, lose, or draw, good, bad, or ugly. Here on this channel, we rep that star over everything. Here on MCF, My Cowboys Family, never forget, 6 years plus, 7 seasons of this reaction stuff we do on the weekends. Guys, thank you for rocking with us. And here on My Cowboys Family, this little corner of YouTube, never forget the number one thing here, now, and forever. As always, say it loud, say it with us. Go Cowboys! Let's get that 6 and beyond, damn it. Thank you all for dropping your knowledge in the chat all night long. Thank you guys. Truly, cannot do this without the back and forth and your 2 cents on our Cowboys. Also, cannot do this without the drops of love from above. Marissa Sparkle leading the whole board right now, by the way. I didn't shout her out. She's leading the whole board. Star level representation there, but much love to Fuego as well. Skeptical Fan, Snug X, Hannibal King, Jason Renfro, and Clark Kent. All drop the love tonight on MCF. On that note, though, baby, it is time to clock out, drop out for the night, relock and reload to find out more about the Keep Poundin' Panthers tomorrow. And before we can drop out of here for the night, baby, let them know what we got to do before we drop out.
We got to drop the beat.
Oh, yeah. Beat's been dropped. It's a wrap. Thank you all. And I hope you all enjoyed the quick little Victory Monday live stream recap. Let's stop. Okay, that game is over. 49 points, whatever. Who cares? It's about resetting and focusing, beating on these Panthers. That's what's next. Guys, thank you again for dropping in with us for another Cowboys chat. The recap version. The New York trash was taken out to the curb and taken care of. We thrashed the trash. Yes, guys, it's a Nice win, like as it should be. And now we move on to the Panthers. Here in MCF, it's about that navy blue, that silver too, that star over everything. Never forget the number one thing right here in my Cowboys family. Much love to everyone, even them haters. Appreciate you all. Thank you for stopping by again. Don't forget to hit that like for the stream, hit subscribe for the channel, hit that notification bell so you know when we're getting those updates. Follow us over on Discord to get more updates on when we go live and other things on our Cowboys. And appreciate everybody here who's rocking with us on the nightly. Be safe, stay safe, have a good night, peace, and never ever forget, go Cowboys!